Okay, in this video I am going to show you how to replace any laptop screen for the cheapest amount of money. Now, there's a lot of videos out there, especially on YouTube, that will tell you how to replace a screen on the majority of laptops out there, whether that be Toshiba, HP, Acer, Compaq, Sony, you name it. And they're very good tutorial videos. As a matter of fact, I've used them quite a bit of videos from YouTube to replace laptop screens. However, it's not they don't really, most of them don't point you to the cheapest way to acquire a laptop screen for your particular computer. As you can see here, I got a Toshiba here, Toshiba Satellite, pretty common brand, and I don't know how you can, if you can see right here, but it's cracked all over. Tip number one is if you see lines through it, or if it's just dark, 99 times out of 100 it has it's a bad screen. It can be a possibility that the ribbon either on the screen edge came loose, which is right here, and of course this is the ribbon here, or it might have come loose below the keyboard. Now, if that happened, check the bottom of your laptop and to see if there's any screws loose, or if the body itself is a little bit loose. If you see any screws loose, and you see that the bezel is loose or coming off of the base itself, it's a possibility that it is a ribbon issue. And in that case, you can save yourself a screen and just open it, take it apart, refasten the ribbon, and then screw everything tightly again, and it might work. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be an issue with the screen. Now, some people will spend the time just to replace the inverter on a laptop screen, and the actual older models would have the actual inverter outside of the screen. Now they're inside of the screen, and you could save a little bit of money if you want to do that, but I'd highly recommend you not do it. I mean, I've never done it because it's just not worth the time and the headache in order to do it. I'd rather spend another $10 or $20 to get a sure thing than to try to save that $20 and be a 50-50 shot. And screens for laptops have gotten so cheap just because laptops are starting to lose demand and people are going to tablets and what have you. Now, to take well, let me first go ahead and get to the point of the video, and then we'll talk about taking it apart and everything. Most people what they'll do is I find eBay to be the best place to buy laptop screens, whether that be brand new or used. And I don't have a problem with buying used laptop screens. A lot of times they've only been used a few times. And on eBay you got a 2-month warranty, through PayPal. Actually even longer than that. But within 2 months if your screen's going to go bad or not. And I think it's worth buying a used one. If you're going to save, 30-40%, which you usually will. Now, what most people do, and what I used to do when I would replace a screen, I wouldn't take the screen out. What I would do is I would look for the model number. And most people do it that way. So this particular one is a Toshiba Satellite. And as you can see there, it's model A as in Apple 665-S as in Sam 5170. Now, what a lot of people do, let's say if they were searching on eBay, they would type in A as in Apple 665, and some would even go as far as to do the S5170. 99 times out of 100, the A665 screen will work with all of them. You don't have to do the whole model number, and you get more choices by doing the abbreviated version. So let's go on here. Let's go to eBay, and let's go ahead and type in the model number and see what we have pop up here. A665-S5170 screen. Okay, First one that pops up, they've sold 385 of them for $55 with free shipping, or best offer. See another one for 61. Now if we go buy it now, lowest first, which is what I recommend, because it'll be the cheapest one. Because let's face it, if your laptop's only worth a couple $100, it's sort of ridiculous to spend $70 on a screen. Now this one's pretty decent. This one's for $40 with a list, and then it jumps to 53. You'd be lucky to get this one, you know, if you got it in time before someone else grabbed it. And so most people would probably buy that one, $40. If that one sold real quick, let's say tonight, then the next one up would be $53. It is brand new, which is an advantage, but you know, that's pretty expensive. Well, what I would recommend you do, instead of putting in the model number of the laptop, what you want to do is put the model number of the screen in. And you're going to be able to save a lot of money doing that, up to 50%. So we'll go ahead and pull up my screen here that I pulled out of this Toshiba, and you want to search for a model number. Okay, so I see one right here. Let's see here. Model number L's and Larry P156WH2. Okay, and so let's go ahead and pull up that instead. LP156WH2. Alright, so now we see the screen, more screens coming up. Now you want to make sure you get it either used or new. Make sure you're not getting parts or repair, and it will say on the ad, and I'll show you that. So let's go to lowest first, and let's see what pops up here. I see one for $4, but it says cracked LED. Parts. If it says parts, you don't want it. This one's for $10 plus 10. Lots of cracks, so we don't want that one. Look at here. Here's one for $31.66, and it's grade A minus. That's pretty good, and they've tested it. So literally, you can save on this one alone by putting in the model number of the screen. You could save $15–20. LCD has been tested working and is free of display defects. Perfect. So for this Toshiba laptop, I only have to pay $32 to get it. Now, what you want to do is a couple things. You want to look. The model number is the most important thing. They could have on here. They could actually have. You'll find that screens go with different model laptops. So one screen could actually fit an HP, but can actually fit a Toshiba. LG is a type of screen brand. But even if it were to say on here HP DV6000, and you're getting a screen for Toshiba, it's still good because the model number matches up. And what you want to do is you want to, just to make double sure, you can click on the second or third picture, which is going to show it, and then you can see here, compare it with mine. See that, and then see that. That's basically not on your end. That's basically to make sure the seller is not putting the wrong item up. Or they're making a mistake. If they're making a mistake, then they have to ship it back to them if it's an error on their part at their own cost. Now, another thing to verify that the seller is doing what they should be doing and listening to what they should. We know this is a 15.6 inch screen, right? But the way you measure screens is you go diagonally. So you go from one corner to the opposite diagonal corner. So, as you see on this, I'll measure from here, from the upper left corner to the bottom right. And sure enough, it's 15.6 inches. Well, you actually want to measure minus that metal. So yeah, 15.6 inches. That's just to verify that they're doing what they need to be doing. I mean, if you were to go up here and they put a 13.3 inch screen, and you know that your laptop's a 15.6, then you know that there's something off on their numbers. Again, your model number on your screen is the most important thing that you need to pay attention to. Alright, so that's basically the best way to save money on buying a screen. If you want to continue with me here, I want to show you how to disassemble a screen. The majority of laptops will have little end caps on the edges of the screen bezel, the plastic. So as you can see here, on all four corners, you got a little hole here, and usually it'll have like a little end cap on it. And what I mean by end cap is it'll have like a little piece of plastic over it that you can get a small little flathead screwdriver and to peel off of it, and that'll expose the screw that you unscrew it with. You want to make sure you have small Phillips head screwdrivers and small Phillips head screwdrivers. You can get it at Ace Hardware for as little as $5. And I'll show you one of these little end caps here real quick. They're sticky. Well, I'll show you through the plastic. You can see there are these little end caps, little plastic things that fit on there. You get a little flathead and you just peel it off. Okay, and then you'll see here there'll be like little Phillips head screws in there, and for each one of those you want to unscrew it. And once you do that, you make sure all it is, you just have to use a little bit of muscle to take this bezel off. And you could use two hands, and you can feel it pop up. And that's actually you could use your little flathead screwdriver to pry it open. So I could show you here real quick. So you can see here you can use like a flathead to peel it open. Just be very careful that you don't break the plastic on the bezel. So you want to go one at a time until you go all the way around the bezel. Okay. Alright, and then usually it's connected down here by a couple of hinge covers. So what you want to do is you want to push it back and pull it out. Sometimes you have to get a screwdriver and get your flathead and pry it open. And it comes out. Okay, and then same thing with all part numbers. If you got a bezel, it'll have a part number on there as well. And if you got a correct bezel, you can do the same thing on eBay. Instead of typing Toshiba L3505 or whatever, just type in that model number and might save you some bucks. Okay, and what's going to happen is usually the screw is going to fasten together like this, and there's going to usually be about 3 or 4 screws on the very end of each side of this hinge. Okay, and then the ribbon is going to be connected here to your screen, and as you can see there's the webcam cable as well. Alright, and so you just want to delicately, there's usually a piece of tape there, you want to delicately take it off. Unscrew these hinges, right, and then take it off. And that's where you can read your model number. Now, what a lot of people do, they're too lazy, and they're like, oh, at the time being, I don't want to take my laptop apart and take that screen out. I just want to go by model number of the laptop. And that's what most people do, but they lose money doing that. They definitely lose money. So my point is if your screen's broken, go ahead and disassemble that thing and get the model number. Another tip number 2, if you can physically take the screen out of the laptop without dismantling any of the rest of the laptop, like your keyboard, the physical base of the computer. I mean, sometimes people have to go take all the screws on the bottom, which takes 30 minutes, and then undo the keyboard, take the whole base off, and then physically take the full hinge lid off of the laptop, and then take the screen off. If you have to do all that, it's not fun. And the problem with that is you can, especially with these cheaper laptops, especially the HP model, you could do more damage than good. Like, I've gone into HPs and everything's so delicate in there that I've done more damage, taking it apart, especially if you're a novice. And you take it apart, you do more damage. So my recommendation is, whatever you can do is try to disassemble the screen out of the laptop without taking anything else apart other than that screen bezel, and then taking the screen out. And 99 times out of 100, I have luck doing that, and I don't have to take like the whole screen out. Rather, the whole body out. Sometimes the hinges do get tricky, and sometimes the end caps are way hidden underneath. So you have to take a little bit of ingenuity in order to get the screws out and delicately take the screen out while it's still intact. But trust me, you'll be well rewarded if you do that instead. Okay. Now, if you're really cheap and you don't want to replace the screen and you have an extra monitor laying around, it could even be an old school monitor from 10-15 years ago, you could actually use the old screen monitor and hook up to your laptop and use it as a monitor, instead of buying a new screen. And then you could get an external keyboard, which is just like old school. You can, you want to get a USB keyboard, and then you get like a USB mouse. Like this one's actually, this mouse is actually, remote, so there's no wire connected to it. And then you can see down here, I got two desktops hooked up, and then that's my laptop. If you can see there, it's an HP, and I got my keyboard hooked up to one USB port, my mouse to another. I got extra USB connections with my printer. And so this actually desktop I have in front of me is actually a laptop with a broken screen. I decided, it was a strong processor. It was a 2.5 gigahertz, and it was well worth just making it into a desktop. And as you can see there, the way I was able to dual monitor is I have an HDMI connection, which, as you see on that Toshiba, this is of course called HDMI, where you can connect it to your flat screen TV. The HDMI is connected to one monitor, and the VGA, this is old school, VGA connection is connected to the other monitor. And then you just set up your Windows 7 in order to where you can have dual monitor. But again, you don't even have to have HDMI. You can have the old, most laptops have this old VGA connection, and the old monitors, even the gigantic box ones, are VGA, and you can just connect it to your laptop and put a keyboard and a mouse with it, and you're all set to go. So if you really want to be, frugal, you could do it that way. And again, this will work with, this is a Toshiba, but again, this will work with majority of laptops out there: HP, Sony, Compaq, Acer, Gateway. This process works with almost every single laptop, and it's not hard to do to change out a screen. It's well worth the time and enjoyment you get just doing it yourself and saving yourself $100. Don't worry about messing stuff too much out. Take your battery out of the bottom of your laptop before you do it for safety, and of course have it off and make sure it's not plugged in. And you're not actually going inside to the motherboard or the logic board, so it's not really a safety issue. Alright, so that's my advice. If you have any comments or questions, just hit me up, and hope you enjoy. Thank you.